Hey, welcome to Two Guys Garage. Now we're in sunny California, tracking down everything cool. And today we found extreme action sports. We've got off-road, we've got drifting, we got everything that goes sideways, flies high, goes fast, gets crazy. We got the drivers, we got the cars. We're gonna go inside, we're gonna talk to them, we're gonna check them out. Stick around. We're in Orange County, California. We're at Magnaflow's R&D Center. Now we're here to check out some pretty sweet rides. Now these action sports guys, they're always moving. But right now, we've got Samuel Hubinette, and he's driving the 2010 Dodge Challenger. You're making a ton of power and you're having a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, now it's been a successful couple of years. We've got 2 championships in Formula Drift and 9 victories, which I think still stands as the #1 first place finisher.
All right, tell me a little bit about your ride right here.
2010 Dodge Challenger, we put carbon fiber parts to lower the weight. It's a fully built race car, so it's the roll cage and all the safety gear you need with Sparco seats and everything. And a big fat APR wing back here, which people may think, oh, do you really need a wing for drifting? Don't you just want to slide around? It's actually the opposite. We definitely want to get as much pressure on the rear BF Goodrich tires to get as much traction as possible, because we're trying to travel sideways as quick as possible.
That's sort of the misnomer. I mean, you'd think you could put like a 100 horsepower engine with a space saver spare on the back, right? No tire at all and just get them to break loose. But you guys are trying to go fast, but go sideways fast. So you need grip, but you need enough power to break that grip. It's sort of a strange combination.
Yep.
What size tire are you guys running?
Actually 335, so they're big. It's a lot of rubber on the grounds.
You know, I see you've got some nice paint trading here with
Yes,
either
I
the
do.
wall or another car. Now, is it good to kind of touch, you know, some of the other obstacles, or?
Yeah, so one of the criteria are style, and that's about going as hard as possible out there. And some cases like this was one of the tracks that has a big cement barrier, and I ended up going closer and I scratched the APR side plate here, which was just fine. Then it's okay. If it's solid, you scratch the wall, which is the outer clipping zone in this case. Fans love it, and the judges will give you the higher score. So I love my job. It's a good job.
I have not been in a drift car yet.
Enjoy my office.
Yeah, no doubt. So you got a big old tire, you got a lot of wing, you got downforce. You must have a lot of power to be able to break those loose at will. What are you guys running?
We're running a Mopar A8 sprint car engine, and we're pushing 860 horsepower with 600 some,
that's just
foot-pound torque. No, it's good. Torque power is good. I mean, it's definitely low-end torque helps, because the less gear changes you have to do, the better.
Right.
And you can go down low RPM, just mash the throttle and get the tires to spin again. So it's been very helpful to have that amount of Dodge power.
Well, I see you've got, normal brakes, you've got 4 calipers, and you've got an additional e-brake, so you've got a second set of calipers on the back, right? So,
Yep.
In certain cases, you're going to come into a turn and you're going to e-brake, right? So you may need to slow some speed, all 4 wheels, but then you need to over-brake the rear, right, to get it to break loose?
Yeah, you got that right. Different tracks, you initiate the first drift, either with an e-brake or a clutch kick. Clutch kick, put the clutch down, rev the engine, dump it up and upset the rear end. And some tracks you have to actually slow down in the first corner, but sideways. So then e-brake is the option. Get it sideways, and then travel into the first corner. And of course, counter steer, and even maybe you have to brake at the same time to slow it down and shift gear. So there's a lot of things going on. You're looking for a third, fourth arm sometimes.
Yeah, no kidding. When you guys are really going sideways, you can pretty much just look out the window and see you're going straight. Now, is there anything in the front, suspension to the steering, really hanging those front wheels left or right in those strips?
Absolutely. The more angle you can have without spinning out. If you spin out, you're out of the competition, you're going home. So that's a huge bonus to have a lot of steering angle, good radius.
Very cool, man. Well, let's check out some of the other bits on here. I know we're sort of mid-season. You got a motor being rebuilt, right? And we've got some exhaust work we're going to do, so let's check out some of that. All right, Sam, let's see what we're working on today. I see we got Richard playing around with us.
How you doing, Kevin?
Richard Waitis, this is the man at Magnaflow. He's behind pretty much everything you see, through the company and what they're doing and what they're making and building. So I see a couple exhaust systems here. What do we got going on?
Yeah, basically, this is SHR's program. We've been involved with them in building from their first iteration of the exhaust system to what we're currently going to be building here for the car today. The program started as obviously a way to try to muffle the exhaust system a little bit, but you'll also notice there's a lot of dissimilar metals and a lot of weld up and touch up.
Okay, so then this was first iteration. You guys sort of merged that into kind of a single back to a dual.
Right. We wanted to get the benefits of merging the two exhaust pulses. It's great for the sound, it helps in the power, but at the same time, we still ran across the same problem with the Y. We ran into a lot of stress and fatigue issues. Obviously, a lot of power. Sam went to the trouble of explaining how much he's got under the hood there, and all those forces back and forth, you know, on the track.
860 horsepower of, you know, heat going through there with what, G's and bounces and you name it, engine torque. So, yeah, I could see where there might be a little bit of issue there.
We really put a lot of stress on the components, and if the components can stand our punishment, the average Joe, his component, his exhaust is going to be able to take any type of abuse. So it's really cool, and I've been very stoked to be part of it.
Well, it's cool because you guys can play around on your side with either different materials, a different rod type, or shielding gas, or just the design itself, and then you got this guy out here telling if you did it right or not.
Exactly. It's the best test field we can. Obviously, we're going to make good parts, but he's going to make us make better parts.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a break. See you guys back in a minute. Hey, welcome back. Now we're at the R&D Center here at Magnaflow with Richard Wadis. I've been virtual drifting all morning in San Hubinette's 2010 Challenger. We got another special guest coming in, racing last night.
Casey Currie, he just got off the Lucas Oil race in his Frontier. We had some headers we built for him, same kind of program we're running. We're doing some testing on his car.
All right, some serious off-road racing coming up, but since we're in the R&D Center, why don't you show us some of the newest technologies coming out in our vehicles these days?
Yeah, actually, we take a lot of what we've just learned from our race teams, and that's what the Casey Curries, the Sam Hubinettes out there about durability, and of course, building a product that can survive that really radical environment. And here's what we get. We have our emissions world mandating these manifold cats. It's a closed-coupled catalytic converter really close to the engine.
Right, I mean, we all know that catalytic converter, that's what changes the bad gases into good gases. Well, it used to be sort of a manifold, you know, maybe a downpipe, and somewhere downstream was a catalytic converter. But now that converter's having to be pushed farther and farther up, because the closer you can get to that cylinder head, the faster it's going to get hot when you start the engine, the sooner it's going to work, the less emissions come out the back. So these are getting very, very complicated. I mean, you can see, you know, we've got sort of a tubular structure, we've got V's coming together, we've got the cats that all has to blend back together. So not the easiest parts in the world to make.
Not at all, and as you can see on the different designs, every manufacturer is going to have a unique approach, and we have one thing to our advantage in the aftermarket is what we have is hindsight. We can see that there are some design concessions that were made at the time of building, just make that work with the current technology. And when we get to our part, we're actually able to consolidate that, look at the history and find out and make a better collector. Instead of having this long tube 4-into-1 type collector, we can shorten tube length, deliver that heat to a necessary part quicker, and building a proprietary 4-into-1 collector, we're able to distribute that heat across the face of a larger brick in the same area. And that leads us to our next thing, is we do a lot of competitive analysis, and a lot of times what we get from the field, whether it's the exhaust shop who's trying to build that on his own, or watching what our competitors have done to try to build a component to fit in that same situation.
Yeah, some of the competitors just aren't quite living up to it. Now, they probably got the flange and the outer location in about the right spot, but this is a pure fail. I mean, look at the flows here. You've got 90s, 90s, 90s. You've got impingements. You're obviously going to have heat and thermal stress issues, as well as, I mean, you can just plainly look at the thing and see that performance is going to drop.
And that's just it as well. We're not necessarily worried too much about performance. We want that engine to deliver the horsepower that it was designed to. In this design, you can see there's going to be problems with that. On top of the fact, we're going to see those kinds of stress-related failures we saw on Sam's car when the heat accumulation and the welding wasn't taken consideration in design.
Right. Now, material is always important, too. So, you know, even then we had stainless material. All the OEs are going to stainless because the longevity of what the emissions need to do in the vehicle is absolutely critical. So in the old days, we used to use aluminized tubing. Now we're stepping up to the higher grade stainlesses, and you can even see here the old crush bends, but you guys are what, all mandrel nowadays, right?
Yep, we're going with mandrel and stainless.
Yeah, so, you know, some of the interesting new designs that are coming out, some of the new technologies that are found in your vehicle, we're gonna take it to the next step, but we're gonna take a break.
Here's this week's Spark Plug tip, brought to you by Champion Spark Plug.
Now this week we're going to teach you how to read spark plugs. Everybody's been doing it for hundreds of years, but this is a cool tool you need. It's got a light, little magnifying glass. Now this plug has a really nice kind of gray ring that's around the electrode there. The rest of it's pretty white. This thing looks perfect, exactly what you want. Now the second one, this is way too rich. So you've got some kind of oil situation, bad rings, bad seal, something going on there where you're getting a lot of nasty buildup on it. This is very bad. Third one, now this is a lean situation. So you've got a lot of gray and spotting. And this is probably one of the hottest I've ever seen because it's actually taken this ceramic electrode, which takes a lot of heat. It's taken it from being square and rounding it off, and it's actually taken the ground and just burned it right off. Moral of the story is, while you're in there, you're replacing your plugs, go ahead, check them out, and see how each cylinder is firing and make sure that everything's working properly.
Hey, welcome back with the R&D Center here at Magnaflow with Richard Wadas, talking through the latest technologies in your exhaust systems. Now this used to be the latest and greatest. Really nice flowing pipes, nice collector, close coupled cats, but as emissions levels are getting tighter and tighter, that cat's having to move farther and farther upstream towards that port. So you can see that just this length here is critical because all this is absorbing heat in those first few seconds that you light your engine off and get your cat moving. So we've started getting more complex shapes, which is harder and harder to do with some of the old traditional tubing methods. I see you guys are playing around with some stampings and pretty complex designs.
Yeah, and it's really been, as technology's progressed and as emission standards become more stringent, we've gone from LEVs, the low emission vehicles, to the ultra low emission vehicles, to today's super ultra low emission vehicles. And in order to maintain those higher standards, we've had to find ways to utilize as much of that heat as possible, and that's really driven us into the world of creating some really proprietary stampings.
I mean, eventually the catalytic converter will be in the port, but until then we just keep driving it closer. Now this looks like an early stamping. You know, we've got a few tears and stuff, and stampings are interesting because it's really flowing metal. You think you just hammer on it, but you're holding the material in certain locations, and then as the die is pushing on it, it's pulling the metal like a blanket through the die to try to fill those cavities. And so, you know, you usually start out with your first test piece, and then over time, it seems, you know, like you develop less tears in one location or another, maybe you improve or change the material properties or the preheat of the material. So it's kind of an interesting process that people don't really get to see very often.
And that's definitely the case, and you don't see a lot of this in the aftermarket because the time to market was always critical, and obviously going through the process of developing all this has been something that technology in the past wasn't available to do. With rapid prototyping, like we've seen in some of the parts here, we're able to create some mock-ups out of some materials. Using AutoCAD to actually emulate some of the products, we're able to get to that finished step where we do have a product that does not exert all of those damaged components that you saw in the initial stamping. We're able to get the flow to actually happen correctly and even change some of the materials like you said. But then we have a product now that's marketable that we've developed in-house that has that standard that we're looking for and can meet those new higher emissions levels.
Yeah, it's kind of neat being able to blend some of the engineering tools with coming out to the shop floor, tuning the dies, putting them on the vehicles, checking for clearances, making sure they fit. It's kind of a cool little unification of all these different aspects.
We've seen designs where we can come out with our product that's built very similarly with your standard bending, with you know, intersected pipes that are actually welded. They're just not as production friendly for us, and that's one thing that you'll see in our product line is that while we may use a spun flange and such and a ball flare, we will actually go to like an OE supplier and find the original part and replace it in our product line. Insofar that we'll actually take this component and replace the actual part with a new design in process rather than simply saying, hey, we've got one done and we're done. So you'll see this product and how it's used. We've got some cars that we actually test these on from an emission standpoint as well as fitment, and we got one of those MPVs on the rack over here.
All right, let's go check it out.
And this is basically where we get to take that product we looked at, the prototype samples, and actually fit it to the car.
Well, I can see right now that this Manicat is not something you're going to reach in there and cut off and put a universal cat in.
Absolutely not. You can definitely see that the proximity to all the parts, the shape and everything, very conducive to like an underbody traditional cat. You're just not going to be able to fit it up there unless you have a part that's designed to fit in that area.
Well, and again, it's all part of that system. Now, this looks like what? Kind of a prototype-y guy to get started here?
This happens to be one of our actual sister chassis. It belongs on a Cougar, which actually shares the same motor and powertrain. The actual real part that we took out, you can see, is very similar minus the flange. So we've done a lot of the research already on this particular application and developing its sizing, and we're finding out that this part is really going to be a lot of the same.
Okay, so from here you can get it bolted up, get it running, get it on the road, and actually get it on your gas analyzer, start making sure that the function's all there along with the performance.
Absolutely.
Put all that together and you're ready to ship it.
Absolutely.
Hey guys,
Cool. Oh,
do you think I can get a hand?
uh-oh. Looks like Casey could use a hand. We're gonna help push a cool car in here. You guys stick around, we'll be right back. Casey Currie, 2010 Torque Series Pro Light Truck champion. This is one bad dude. Now tell me about this wicked ride you got right here.
Yeah, basically this is a 2011 Nissan Frontier. The chassis spec'd as far as the frame rails and some of the suspension points, but basically we build it ourselves.
So from there, the sky's the limit. It's all about your experience. It's how you want to set the car up.
This truck resembles me the best.
Cool. Now this is like NASCAR, but then like you're saying motocross, it's kind of this blend between the two, right?
Yeah, you know, this has a lot of similarities to NASCAR. You know, there's a lot of setup involved. You got the engine, you got the tranny, torque converter, carburetor, gear ratios, tires, tire grooving. There's a lot of things that got involved, but then you got Supercross where the track is changing every lap. There's rocks, there's whoops, there's bumps, there's holes, and every lap something is happening different.
Very cool. Now, how much to travel you got in front and rear?
We got 12 inches of travel in the front, and we got 14 inches in the back.
Yeah, what's cool about these cars is they got a lot of travel, but they're real kind of softly sprung. So, I mean, the car's pretty much ready to just float through a lot of these bumps, but you're catching some major air on some of these. What's your kind of record height, distance you think you've gotten in this truck?
I've jumped about 200 feet and probably
100 feet.
25 feet in the air.
25 feet in the air.
So, one thing that is about the truck, it is softly sprung, but it's set up at ride height right now. You know, this is exactly how it sits, you know. It's super low to the ground, but the way the suspension works, it gets more progressive as it goes down. That way, you know, giving us the lowest center of gravity as possible at all times.
Cool. What kind of suspension setup do you have in the rear?
Yeah, so basically in the rear, we're running a King coilover, and we got King triple bypass shocks. The shock is actually mounted on the 9-inch rear end, and we run a 3-link suspension with the sway bar.
Okay, is everybody running 3-link, or is it kind of open?
Half the field's running 4-link, half running 3-link. It comes to a driver setting.
Okay, so this is what you like to run?
Yeah, this is comfortable for me.
All right, I'll check out some of the engine side here. You'll kind of notice the engine's not really in the front, it's kind of right in your lap.
We got a big V8 engine in this small truck, and to get the weight to be where we want it, the engine had to come way back. I'm actually sitting pretty much right next to the engine. The header's right on my legs.
Nice, that's the way I like to ride, right? With a header on my leg. So you're putting out how much power?
This thing's got about 450 horsepower with a turbo 400 transmission behind it.
Okay, now some classes are 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. What are we running here?
This is a 2-wheel drive, no front diff. It's just one drive shaft going to a 9-inch Ford rear end.
Nice, that's a lot of power to try to get through those back 2 wheels. That's got to be a lot of fun. Now you're coming in here, you got some headers developed through Magnaflow a while back, so were you coming in for sort of a mid-season checkup to see how you're doing, see how the development's going?
Yeah, you know, the engines are spec, so to get power, Magnaflow's bringing us anything and all we can do, and we're in here doing R&D.
Cool. Now is this something you guys built here, the headers?
Yeah, actually this program is, again, one of our race sponsor programs where we're actually building proprietary headers. Not something we release to the general public, but again, you know, when you look at the vehicle, the amount of abuse it takes, we can actually really quickly assert, is our welding good, is the materials right, and at the same time work on some engine optimization. A lot of that technology is like stuff we talked about earlier on the manifold cats. We can derive that from some of the flow calcs we get out of this.
Yeah, now it looks like, as far as durability-wise, you put about 1,000 miles on this race, or?
You know, this is actually 20 minutes, and it's 20 minutes to the max test there is.
20 minutes. All right, Mom. 20 minutes, he took this, what, brand new looking truck?
Brand new.
And made it look like this, and you gave me a lot of grief about my little school clothes. So that was a whole day on the playground. You had 20 minutes on your playground. Pretty good test bed.
Well, I got to get this thing up on a rack. We got a lot of work to do in pulling this apart. Got a lot of dirt to scrub too, so I'm gonna have to push you guys out of here, get this thing up on the rack, and get started on some more of that R&D.
Okay, well, you heard the man. We're out of time here, so we're gonna take a break.
For more information about anything you've seen on today's show, check out speed.com or visit TwoGuysGarage.com.
Welcome to the break room. We always have cool, innovative stuff for you, and today, look at this half. It looks like spray paint, doesn't it? No, it's a graphite coating called slip plate.
Yeah, it's from Superior Graphite, and what's great, it's a dry film coating, really slippery. It's hydrophobic, so it's gonna repel, you know, water, moisture, snow, and mud. so it just kind of falls away. It doesn't attract dirt and debris, you know, like a regular oil or grease-based lubricant would.
Sure, it's nice and dry. So good places for this are something like the top of a bandsaw maybe, so you could slide your wood or whatever, and it doesn't rust.
Yeah, and it's been used in the agricultural for years. You know, things like hoppers where you're sliding grain down. You know, a snow blower, you coat the inside and the snow will fly out a whole lot farther and faster. You can paint it on nice and thick, or you can spray a light coat, or you can even double it up.
It's called slip plate.
These guys are always coming up with another way to lock your fasteners in so they don't come loose, fall out, and your components, you know, drop off.
Stage 8 is pretty amazing. And what they do is mechanically lock fasteners. The one we have today actually locks it into a hole.
Yes, this is the Groove Lock counterbore system. So you've got something down in there. How are you going to lock it? They've got a cool little drop-on locking feature tab, a little clip on there. That guy is in there for good. And they have them for everything, all different materials, so stainless, Inconel, titanium. They'll hook you up at stage 8 locking fasteners.
You know what happens? You drive your car, you scratch it, gets dusty,
Gets worn out,
Gets
gets
worn
old,
out.
gets oxidized.
and you gotta restore it. And 3M's got you covered. They've got a paint restoration system, and it's the full system in one kit. Nice and simple to use. They're color coded. Start with your scratch remover. Then you wanna move to your middle step, which is gonna fine tune the scratches, work it up another stage. Then once you get to the end, it's fine tuning and waxing and sealing.
Yeah, what's cool is all in one box. So you're not hunting through and forgetting things at the store. Even comes with the Magic Scratch Eraser. This is a 3000 grit Tri-Zac from 3M. So it's all right there, ready to make your car nice and shiny.
Yep, and that's again 3M paint restoration system.
Add some safety, add some visibility to your truck. You know, this will go right below your tailgate, right above the bumper. Two-sided sticky tape. Bang, that thing is on there. Great way to get that extra visibility, extra safety, and you know, maybe a little bling pop. You know? Now this is from LMC Truck. They've got everything for your truck that you could ever imagine. Mid, late 40s and up for your Ford and your Chevys.
And
you know, in the
Dodge.
90s and up for your Dodges. Yep. I mean, you need a bumper, you need a headlight, maybe you knocked a side
Dash,
mirror off.
everything. LMC has it all.
Yeah, so get your free catalog. They'll hook you up with anything you need.
Well, that was a good show. Hope you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it.
I wish I could have went.
Yeah, we had a great time with Sam and Casey checking out their hot rides. Hopefully you guys had a good time too, but we're out of time.
Adios.